Hi, welcome to another video. I've actually got some time off this week and the weather's been absolutely horrendous. So I thought I would make another video. Um, Sorry for unleashing them all this week, but there we go. We're now at the end of March 2023, and we've pretty much had our system at home now for 12 months. It was installed the last, or the first week of April last year. So I thought I'd do a quick video to show what my experience has been over that last 12 months. I've had a fair number of people contact me since making the videos and adding comments and sending messages through the Facebook group asking different things. And it seems that a lot of people have actually come across the same issues that I've had. And I think that perhaps if someone's considering getting a new system, then maybe this video might help them decide whether or not the Solis inverter is the best for them or not. So just to give a quick recap, first week of April last year, I had installed a 3.6k 5G inverter, 4.5 kilowatts of panels, and 10 kilowatt of Fox ESS batteries. The system was designed through a national solar company called Cisco, and they actually subcontracted it out to local electricians and roofers and so on. The guys that did the install were actually really good, and I've since been in contact with the electrician to do some follow-up work for me, which I might touch on a bit later in this video. So let's get into it. So the first thing I'll probably say is I suspect I was missold my system in that there are several features which I was told were available when I had the conversation with the sales guy, which later transpired that actually those features just didn't exist, or they couldn't tell me how to access them. So one of those, or the key thing that I was really keen for um, at the time was that they told me that my system would integrate into Octopus Agile in as much as I could charge the batteries when electricity was cheap or free, and I could use that power as I wanted. I'd be able to sell back to Octopus at either a fixed rate or an agile rate, depending on what tariff I chose. And all this would happen dynamically. I wouldn't have to do anything myself. Now that is patently untrue. As anyone who's followed my videos will know, that Solis don't offer that as a feature or an integration whatsoever. The only way you can make that happen is to use some third-party integrations through Home Assistant, and you actually have to put in quite a lot of effort to get that to work. Now, wind back 12 months, I'd never heard of Home Assistant this time last year. I'd never heard of all of the different integrations or anything to get this to work, and it's been a real journey stroke voyage of discovery for me, and I've been helped along the way by lots of people in the Facebook group, and a colleague from work who he doesn't have a Solis inverter. He's got a couple of Victron inverters and a Solar Edge actually, but he could sort of send me in the right direction of where to look and how to get things up and running. So the chance that your installer will know any of this is really really slim. And in fact, I'll just mention the electrician that I did use for my job. I actually had him come back and install a third battery for me to give me 15 kilowatt of storage. I think it was in January, and I asked him, what he had at home and would he have a Solis, and he said absolutely not. He's actually got Huawei inverters, and he said because you can control them fully from a laptop locally, which you just can't with the Solis. So to me, that was a real eye opener, and I wish I kind of had that conversation, you know, prior to my decision to go ahead with this system. So out of the box features that I was promised weren't there. I consider myself really lucky in that I've got a very technical background. I've been a telecoms engineer for the last 20 plus years. I've got a technical education. I'm used to working with similar technologies, not exactly the same. So I could, it stood me in good stead for getting this stuff working. But, if I was thinking if this system was sold to my parents, they'd have absolutely no chance of getting this working uh, as I was expecting it to. So the next thing I would say is, you know, in the Solis Owners Facebook group, I'm not the only person that had these expectations. Lots of people are asking, oh, how do I get my inverter to, um, you know, uh, charge, dynamically based on agile rate or economy 7 rate or or intelligent rate or something like that. So yeah, it seems I'm not being alone in that experience. The Solis Cloud app, I must admit, I was enormously disappointed with initially. Well, in fact, it wasn't even Solis Cloud when I first got my system. It was called My Solis or something like that. And I literally remember having the conversation with the electrician on the day it was installed, because my first question was, how do I know how much battery power I've got remaining? And the app didn't show it. Like the original Solis app didn't show it, which to me was just staggering. That was the one piece of information that I wanted to know, and it just wasn't there. It is now available in the Solis Cloud app, and I've just got a little video which I'll share of how to find it. And it's pretty convoluted. So this is me on my iPhone earlier on, just finding where to find the current state of charge in the battery. I mean, the app does give some reasonable information. You can see, your daily generation, and there's some good reports and stuff in there. But if you actually want to see the state of your battery, you have to go into the device itself and then scroll all the way to the bottom of the screen. There it is. So, for me, that's the sort of information that you need at a glance. That shouldn't be buried somewhere. And that was one of the things that set me off on this journey of using Home Assistant to get myself a customized dashboard to get the information I wanted at a glance. It just seems so obvious to me and to many other people, but the information just isn't readily available in the Cloud app. The other comment I would make about the Solis Cloud app and Solis Cloud on the web is it doesn't update in real time. It takes a snapshot every 5 minutes. So, if you think, right, it's basically looking at, 1 or 2 seconds worth of data out of every 5 minutes worth. It's going to be missing an awful lot of information. And people are seeing this all the time. You'll see people saying, oh, why, when the sun's out, am I only generating, this small amount of power? Why am I pulling from the grid when the sun's out? And it's literally because the time at which that snapshot was taken, it could be that the dishwasher turned on or someone turned the kettle on or something like that, and it will, cause a spike on grid import. But because that's the moment that the Solis Cloud took its snapshot from, that's what you're seeing in the app. So it doesn't give great real-time experience. So in the last couple of months, Solis have sort of announced that you can now get remote control through the app. I was promised that day one from my installer, and I was told I had to log a ticket with Solis to get this done, which I did, and that was last May. I still haven't heard anything back, and I've chased the ticket several times. I actually gave up probably in July last year, chasing Solis for that information, and I suspect the reason they're not replying to me is because when my system was installed, it was installed with an older data logger called the DLSW rather than the S3 logger that is now the current model. Now, that for me was actually a massive stroke of luck, because the DLSW does allow local access and I can integrate that into Home Assistant myself, which at the time I didn't really appreciate, but now I'm incredibly grateful for that. In terms of the functionality that is available when Solis enable your remote control, literally what it gives you is the ability to change the times of charge and discharge. and I think that is it. Um, so it's a step in the right direction. However, it still wouldn't meet anything like the expectations that I have, or I believe the expectations of a lot of other users. The newer S3 data logger, which I just mentioned, actually, although it does allow the remote access, it disables all of the other local access which was available in the previous model, which I think is hugely restrictive for anyone that wants to integrate into Home Assistant, or I guess any other third-party automation software. And I think it's a huge step backwards. And I think a lot of people that have got the S3 logger have found that as well. But now there is no choice unless you can find an older DLSW online somewhere. You are a little bit stuck. There are some third-party um, devices that you can get which will plug into the RS485 port on the inverter, and you could access locally. So I know a few people have been doing that. As I said earlier, yeah, my experience with the customer support wasn't good. I mean, I literally logged a ticket to ask for my remote access to be enabled. I had to fill out all kinds of non-disclosure forms and everything and submit all those back. And then I heard absolutely nothing. And 12 months down the line, I still haven't got it enabled. But for me, it's not an issue. But it's not a great experience. Having said that, reading on the forums, I know some people have logged a ticket, and within an hour, they've had a response back and their remote access has been enabled. So I know some people have had a good experience, but mine was not. So just sort of to summarise, my inverter has been reliable. It's done its job to this point. And I know a lot of installers do like fitting them because they're kind of a fit and forget kind of thing. And if the end user is non-technical and literally just wants something to go in and run in kind of off-grid mode, whereby if there's PV power available, it will use that and charge the batteries. If it's not, then you pull from the grid. Then great, I can see that. I can see that being a desirable option. But for anybody who's looking to maximise the return on their investment by integrating with a variable rate tariff, I think which I think a lot of people are going to want. Let's not beat about the bush. These things are an enormous investment, and my expectation is to be able to maximise my return on that, and to get back to my sort of break-even point where I've recovered some of the costs of the outlay on this kit. You are going to want to maximise your the efficiency and drive them as hard as possible. I don't think that the Solis really gives the options that that are available from other vendors. Sort of in summary, for me, I probably wouldn't choose to go with another Solis inverter given the choice. I'll say, the electrician that installed my kit, he recommended Huawei. That's what he has at home, and he says literally you can do everything off the laptop. Alternatively, my work colleague with his pair of Victrons, they look really configurable, and again, everything just natively hooks into to Home Assistant. So yeah, that's kind of a little summary of my experience of the last 12 months. It's not all negative. It's totally unbiased. It's my experiences. Yeah, hopefully you found that useful. Thanks very much for watching.